Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting horror film lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and we're doing a what is it, the First Time Watch Friday. So welcome back to First Time Watch Friday, where I'm gonna be I watched a movie that I haven't seen before, and so did my guest, right? Like you hadn't seen this before, James, right?
I had not seen this before. No, this was a first time.
So what happened was when I was talking to James has been on, what is it, 31 Days of Indie Horror and Indie Film Cafe a lot. And he hadn't been on this because this had literally never, like, usually I just did this, first
Right.
time. But I'm not doing 31 Days of Indie Horror this year because, I mean, just too much stuff going on, too much. I decided to take a break. I don't know if it'll ever come back, but I was like, just might as well make this sort of, into like first time what, this is going to be a new thing that's going to happen like more and more. But I sent a couple, couple titles to James, and James was like, "Oh no, I want to watch it these." And so I said, all right, well, what did you picked before, which you did, I think the last time. So I was like, you picked this time, and you basically gave me a list of movies that were on your like watch list that you
Right.
wanted to see. And this one sounded, I didn't know anything about it, and I think I looked at the plot synopsis on IMDb, which was like the most generic plot
Oh,
synopsis, but
mhm.
really was the movie. Like,
Yeah.
you had to sum up the movie. It was literally about a detective trying to find a serial killer in San Francisco. That was it. That
Yeah.
was, I mean, it wasn't, it's not this like complicated movie with these complicated plots or whatever, or characters or interrelationships or anything. It was literally, and the movie is, we didn't even mention what the movie is. It's called Killer's Delight,
Yes.
aka on my, I don't know how, did you watch the Vinegar Syndrome version?
I did. Yes.
Okay. I watched the Tubi version, and on the Tubi version, it has a different name, which is the Sports Killer.
Right.
Is that what it came on Vinegar Syndrome as too?
From is Killer's Delight. So
Oh, okay.
I'm
So
assuming the one on
pop.
Tubi probably was like an older DVD or VHS release of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So on Vinegar Syndrome it's called Killer's Delight, but on Tubi it's called Sports Killer, which I guess was the original title or one of the original titles.
One. Yeah.
And which I I prefer Killer's Delight, to be honest. When I saw that, I was like, wait, did I get the wrong movie? But I was like, no, but I've got Killer's Delight, so it's a '70s movie, which uh it kind of reminded me a little of like Last House on the Left, not with the structure or anything like that, but
Right.
just the music, and then the beginning with the first kill basically, or whatever, the first victim, and all this other stuff going on. It just sort of had that, 70s horror vibe.
Right.
But those low budget films to me felt like TV movies. Do you feel that way?
One that was the thing that I found out about this. It was like it basically felt like a 70s TV cop drama. And the problem is, it really wasn't sleazy enough. It was a little too harsh for a TV drama, but it wasn't sleazy enough to be an exploitation flick. So I don't know where really this movie lies.
Yeah, I see. I'm actually interested in getting the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray at some point, because it did say on that it had like a commentary with the director, and I
Right.
would like to kind of hear his his thoughts on the making of this, because like I wonder if this it was exactly the tone he wanted.
Right.
The woman who wrote it also produced and helped, also apparently was uh the body double for some of the breasts in this movie.
No, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so the when you see the one girl, I believe, like, that's being murdered or whatever at one point, and then You don't see the face, you just see the boobs. That's her boobs, I guess. Because
Uh,
they weren't paying anybody, by the way.
mm.
They weren't paying people from what I
Oh,
read.
really? Nobody got paid on
No,
this thing?
no, they did it all to get SAG credits, you
Oh,
know.
that's
So, I mean, very smart, I guess, but like
right.
I'm sure like a couple people got paid, like the main guy probably got paid,
Right.
the low budget John Saxon, even lower budgeted John
Yeah.
Saxon, that's what I called him.
Yeah. Cracking me up. I love the fact that it's like every bad like 70s cop cliche he had. And if he didn't, his Serpico wisecracking partner did. So it was like
I wouldn't call that guy anything close to Serpico because even though he looked like, I guess you're saying more like
he
look
looked
like,
just like him. Looked
yeah.
like Pacino and Serpico. He was like desperately trying to be the comic relief, and it was not working.
Though I did like one scene, and he wasn't the comic relief in it. The girl was when she just turned him down, you know,
Right.
down. But there was like something going there, and she just either was not, allowing it or whatever.
Right.
Um, I I got I got confused with some of the people. I
Okay.
don't feel like we're completely introduced to everybody, like in a way where we know what, like, okay, so the cops, obviously, right? You know who the cops are or whatever. But like, who was the girl, the main debate? Which
The bait was basically his, not his wife, but his mistress, and she's some psychiatrist basically that was willing, like, oh sure, yeah, I'll be the bait. And I mean, that was one thing that I appreciated was the incredibly downer ending. So I thought that was great.
yeah, and it really worked for like a downer ending kind of thing.
Right.
But it was perfect. All in all, I thought the movie was pretty good. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there might have been like like I said, I want to own it and I want to have it because I feel like it's a part of indie history in a way. Like it's something that obviously was low budget and was made with love. But I don't know. What was your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I did like it a lot. I liked it enough to keep it, which was good. Because
Yeah,
my problem is,
you want to sell things, right? Like or
oh
whatever.
yeah, I mean, process of selling off the majority of my collection. So I've got like those pictures or that list that I sent you is all stuff that like basically is a possibility of keeping. Everything else in my collection it's like it's either I'm definitely keeping it or I can throw it away for all I care. So it's just one of those where that it was good to see this, and like I said, I'm happy to add it to my collection. Is it perfect? Nowhere near, but I think it's amusing enough to own, and I'll definitely watch it multiple times.
So yeah, I'm glad like you picked this because like I want to bring awareness to it, kind of thing. But I don't even think we can really talk that long about this movie, honestly.
Right.
Really, it's really such a like it's really just simple plot. Like the guy's a Bundy influence, or whatever, inspiration or whatever, like and he goes around in a van. Like what I did like was the van. The van was cool because it almost felt like
Right.
Jaws, Like
Yeah.
I wanted a dun dun every time it came because when you saw it, you're like, oh shit,
The
there's
one of the things that absolutely cracked me up is when the cop is trying to figure out where the killer is, and out of the blue, he's able to sneak up with him out of a garage in the van and hit him with the van. It's like you didn't hear that coming at all. Huh? That was just a complete shock to you.
yeah, yeah, that was crap. But then you have to chalk that up to like low budget, like
Right.
that we had to get a writing wise, we had to get away where he would recognize there's a van that's whatever, so that you know um it could have happened at any time though, like because
You
that
were
van,
watching the film. Did you happen to see the John Carpenter connection?
mm-mm.
What was it? The old fisherman that finds the first body.
Mm-hmm.
It's George Buck Flower, who does cameos in a lot of Carpenter's earlier stuff.
Nice. He was
From
fun. He was amusing. Him and his
oh yeah.
grandson or whatever.
Mhm.
I like that. I was very happy that nothing happened to the dog.
As soon as I saw that dog, I'm like, oh god, if something happens to this dog, Jonathan's gonna be upset.
That's the exact thought I had was like, don't, nope. Yeah, but the only thing that bad happened, other than the fact that his owner died, which sucks,
Right.
but the only thing that was bad was like they got blood on the dog's, thing, which I thought was
Right.
a cool touch, actually. You know, some people don't do that. They don't. They'll just have the dog be like whatever because hey, they
Right.
don't want to give a dog a bath afterwards like that or whatever. But like like things like that where somebody was like, we need to make sure this dog has some blood on them because they're probably going to be
Right.
licking their owner and all over their owner and sad. You know.
Mhm.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, in general, I had fun with it. I thought it was, I thought, again, I think it could have been a little sleazier personally, but in general, it's a good buy.
yeah, I think I think honestly, I bet it looked great on blue.
It
Um,
did. Yeah.
the
Well,
one I
that's
saw was very gritty and very, like a DVD,
right. I will say this: Vinegar Syndrome does an amazing job on almost every disc I've gotten from them. Looks phenomenal. The problem is it's real hit or miss on the films that, for my own personal preference, that I'll enjoy that I pick up from them. That's why it is actually nice that Tubi will show a good majority of Vinegar Syndrome titles. They're not going to look as good as if you buy the disc, but at least it'll give you an idea of whether or not it's something that you'd want to own.
It's so funny because like Vinegar Syndrome doesn't seem like a company you'd love exactly because a lot of their titles come from like Trauma, and stuff like that. And I know you're not into that
I'm
stuff.
I do not care for Trauma at all, actually.
Yeah, so there you go. I love,
Yeah,
Trump, and I love Lloyd, and I love all that stuff. So
love Lloyd. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Lloyd. I just personally haven't enjoyed a Trauma film since Class of Nukem High. I like I
oh,
said, I
first
think
class,
I'll give
right?
credit where it's due. I mean, Lloyd's run the longest running indie company of all time. Especially their in-house stuff, I just haven't cared for in years.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Mm.
It's they're a lot of their and it's so funny because a lot of the stuff they buy, like Surf Nazis Must Die. I mean, some of that's kind of silly, but like nobody else would touch that stuff.
Right. Oh,
At the time, like nobody would touch Cannibal the musical at all. You know,
right.
and and they didn't even touch it, like literally. So I love the story that basically Trauma put Cannibal, like bought it from them for like $1 or whatever it was, for like cheap, and then or free, and then they sat on it. They didn't even put it out until South Park became a hit. Then they
Right. And
out.
like, hey,
I'm
wait,
like,
come
right, like I'm like, that was a smart deal,
on. Mhm.
doing that, but it was, and they're Lloyd and Trey and Matt are all great friends and whatnot.
Mhm.
They love each other, but
I mean, really genuinely hoping that eventually Vinegar Syndrome gets around to releasing. They probably not because it was shot on video, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Redneck Zombies, which I do absolutely love. So maybe one of their partner labels will grab it.
yeah, Pericles Loons, who did that. I've interviewed him, and he will randomly comment on my stuff every now and then, or
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he's a good guy. I heard actually a bunch of people from that kind of crew, the writer of Redneck Zombies and a bunch of this stuff like that. So I love those guys. I need to own Redneck Zombies. I don't yet, but uh,
Oh, I mean, they Troma did put out a really nice DVD. My only complaint is, and again, only somebody who watched this a million times on VHS growing up would even know this, but it's trimmed by about six to 10 seconds. I don't know why. There's one scene. It's not even gore. It's one scene where the Ellie Mae character is driving the truck and he's singing some made up song before he picks up the hitchhiker, and they cut the song for some reason. I don't know.
Maybe rights,
Yeah.
that's a rights issue.
Mm.
Uh, a lot of times you know this, but the audience may not, whoever's listening, but sometimes when a film or whatever, they do a song or something, they either don't have the rights to do the song, they do it anyway because nobody's going to pay attention to like a low budget film like that, or they do have the rights, but the rights only lasts
Right.
years or whatever, and then
Well, that's the weird thing about that particular moment in the film. It's obvious that it's just something that the actor made up on the spot. There's no way that this song exists.
oh well, then I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know what it was. It's very odd.
Yeah, that is odd. Maybe that was a thing that the actor made sure to say, like, don't want that, and
Yeah.
then I don't know. This movie, I mean, like I'm trying to think of certain things, like there really wasn't like all the hitchhikers, and then the one thing I did, the two girls that were like making out with the guys or whatever, or getting, well, I guess one of them had sex. I'm hoping they came out.
Right.
Then they went and got picked up by the guy. Didn't they know that there's a killer out there? Wasn't this got to be news, right?
Oh,
There's no killer
those
killing.
youth aren't concerned about that. They just want to get their kicks.
They just want to get a ride with a random stranger who could be a
Like,
serial killer. I don't know if I would
yeah.
like believe necessarily that even teenage girls who are probably told, because I know like the father told his daughter, "You're not allowed to go anywhere."
Right.
There's this guy out there. When that guy found out he was the cop or where he lived and everything, and sent the package of clothes or whatever from, I guess, different.
Mhm.
I thought that was fucked up, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy's, there's like a little cat and mouse kind of thing going. Um, and then I'm glad I didn't watch this with Paul, because Paul would be going crazy with a lot of the stuff that the guy was doing that is not allowed in the police,
Right.
procedurals and stuff.
And that is one thing I appreciated, because if you really look at it, the cop is pretty much just as unlikable as the killer in this.
Right.
He's got this machismo to him where it's like okay, so he's got a wife and kids at home, but he's banging the psychiatrist. He's gonna put her up as bait to get the serial killer, and it's like he's not a good cop. He's not a good guy, But
yeah, and not only that, he's also breaking into a guy's house, right, where he doesn't know this guy is in fact the killer.
Right,
There's no
exactly.
real evidence yet, but he's gonna do that, and then he happens to find the guy's garage thing. It goes around town everywhere, clicking it. I'm like, this is supposed to be San Francisco. Like, that could be like on the half. By the way, it was not filmed all in San Francisco. Most of it was actually filmed in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is funny because the only, like, I think the Golden Gate Bridge, which after watching that again, I'm like so sad I didn't go see Friends in San Francisco when I could have, because I would love to go down that bridge sometime. I want to drive down that bridge, and it's a long ass bridge looking thing. So, it kind of scares me a little bit. Like, what if like my fucking car breaks down or something?
Right, right. Well, what cracks me up too are some of the disguises that the killer used. It was like, come on, man. Nobody's buying this. Like, yeah, the fake handlebar mustache and the afro wig. It's like,
well, the cop didn't buy it. He was like, "Who? That's the guy." And then the guy goes and kisses that random girl, and then
right.
runs in, and that's where this scene comes in. She runs in and said, "Do you know who that guy was?" And she was like, "No, I don't know him at all." Like, she didn't seem too upset that he kissed her, though. Like,
Right, exactly.
I would have thought that she would have slapped him or something, but he might have told her, "Do not slap me, or I will, kill you."
Right.
I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously, she didn't even seem very threatened by him. And he was like touching the kid and stuff.
Yeah, it was a very uncomfortable scene.
Yeah,
So,
he was like grabbing the kid, holding him up, doing stuff, looking like he was like related to him or something in some way. And the
I,
kid who should have been like, what is the, what? Stop touching me. Like, what is going on here? And yeah, so I was just like, 'cause at first I was like, okay, that guy knows that person, knows those people or something. Nope,
right,
nope. And then
uh,
that's the whole bit.
right.
I don't know. There's scenes that just sort of don't really make any sense, but they are
Well, but
needed
that's
to move the story along.
I mean, no disrespect to the writer, but I mean, it seemed like maybe she was a better stunt tit than she was a writer, So,
Yeah, I mean, possibly because she was sort of, or maybe she like just watched. So, by the way, that lady, the lady who wrote this,
mhm.
she later became a soap opera writer. You know,
That makes sense. That actually 100% makes sense.
yeah, kind of like Victor Miller.
Mhm.
Victor Miller became a soap opera, and I interviewed him years ago, and he said he enjoyed writing soap operas way more than he enjoyed writing horror films. And I was
Yeah,
like, well, or floats your boat, buddy. I
right.
never got into them, but that other than late primetime soap operas like
Right.
Melrose, I can get into that, but I can't get
Mhm.
into you know uh General Hospital or something because
Right.
I'm one of those guys that needs to start at the beginning so I understand everything that's going on. And if they're
Hmm.
already 30 seasons before doing that,
Absolutely.
it's too much. I can barely watch a show that's got 10 episodes these days.
Right.
But anyway, to go back, like, yes, she was a soap opera person. So sort of some of the stuff that she says and does, and some of the drama and some of the other stuff, kind of makes sense for like the soap opera stuff. So
It was, that's the thing, that the dialogue, especially in this, was very patchwork, very, you had heard everything before. Let's put it, there were no surprises in this thing whatsoever.
yeah, you weren't going around going, oh shit, I didn't see that. Well, you didn't see the van hitting the guy coming
Yeah, yeah.
because he
Well,
didn't even see it coming.
yeah.
It didn't make any, like, some of that stuff doesn't make any sense, but it was that sort of, I guess, like I said, it was to move the story, you know.
It was still, even with its, I mean, warts and all, it was still an enjoyable hour and a half. Let's put it that way. I've seen far, far worse come from Vinegar Syndrome.
I mean, look, I'm one of those guys. I'm a collector of everything.
Mhm.
I have a label. I want to own everything in that label, even if it's not
Mhm.
a cup of tea. Like Criterion, I own what is that? What's the movie with the people dancing in the dancing in the and singing or whatever to each other in the kitchen.
No clue.
It's 80s movies, like very famous. I watched it and I can't even, like, that's how much I did not like the movie. I don't even remember the title. Um but
But
it was,
yet you own it because it was on Criterion.
yep.
That makes no sense.
Criterion.
That
Well,
is
I
a
mean,
good way
at the
to go.
time that I heard it was like Lawrence Kasdan made it, and I was like, I wanna check this out. And I bought it, not having seen it.
Is it
Because
Pleasantville?
there was that, what?
Is it Pleasantville?
No, no, no. It's the movie that it's gonna, this is gonna it's gonna drive me nuts if I can't remember this title. Um, it's the very famous movie. It's got like Kevin Kline and um what's Kasdan. The Big
You're not
Chill.
talking. Yeah. Oh, what is it?
The Big Chill.
Oh, the Big Chill. Yeah, I never really cared for the Big Chill. I understand its importance in 80s cinema. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah. So like and once again, I really couldn't wait to see that scene. And then I saw that I was like, I kind of like.
No, mark my words. You are going to reach, if this is how you collect, you're going to reach a point at some point, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, it could be 20 years from now, that you're going to look around your vast collection and be like, I can't do this anymore. This doesn't make any sense. And you're just going to start selling stuff off like I am.
I know. And I know that's gonna happen. Right now it's not. but I know eventually it will, because I'll probably get to, because I mean, there's no way, unless I got to be like Tom Cruise rich, and even
Hmm.
I don't know if I would. I probably would buy all of the Criterion films if I
That
was.
makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. I mean,
Ah,
like you know the what was it? The deciding factor on me deciding to sell off the majority of my collection
what was it?
when I had a girlfriend basically pinpoint the fact that your collection at its current value is worth more than your house. That to me was just like, yeah, I think it's time to
I
take care of
haven't gotten there yet, so
it. Hmm.
if it gets to that point, I might be selling some stuff off.
Right.
Right now, I'm not there yet, but you've been collecting a lot more than I have, or whatever.
Right.
My DVDs are not in like mint condition. They're not even worth, shit, basically. My Blu-rays probably are worth a lot more because
Right.
they're more taken care of. But like my DVDs, a lot of my DVDs, I just pick them up at whatever, and a lot of them are scratched, and I just
Right.
don't care,
See,
because I want to have them.
like literally I have to have everything in mint condition. If there's the smallest bend on a slip cover, I'm going to lose my mind about it.
I see collectors like that, and I get it. Like I totally get it. There are collectors who get really pissed off if they don't have a slip, and shit. And I'm just like, slip or no slip. It'd be nice sometimes to have the slip, but I don't. I'm not
But
a.
I've actually returned stuff from Amazon because the slip was bent up a little bit. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can send me another one. We'll
Nope,
we'll
I
roll
won't.
the dice.
Nope, I won't. I won't do that. Mainly because I don't want to wait. I just want to keep it.
Right.
But I'm not OCD like that. I'm OCD about like, alphabetizing my collection,
Right.
or having them in a certain, like now I have my vinegar syndromes and all that stuff in a whole section called my boutique section. And it's just,
Okay.
it's got my arrow, got my vinegar syndrome. I'm now collecting Vestron and MVD,
Mhm.
all these different companies. And
Right.
Vestron's going to be easy because they've only got like 30 or 31 movies,
Right.
and MVD too, Rewind.
Hmm.
Eventually Marquee, I'll have all of them. And then, and I'll be happy. But do I really need all of them? Probably not. But will I be happy when I have all of them? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I haven't had an app yet. So
I have yet to see the label that I've loved everything that they brought out. Not
right.
not Scream Factory, not Arrow, not MVD, not Kino. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're gonna run into some stuff that you just don't care for.
Well, there's also these collectors, because I watch YouTube, and this is going on YouTube, so I get it. There's a lot of collectors out there that will explain that they like to like have a library, right? They want to have a library. They want to have as many movies because you never know what you're going to be in the mood to watch. Funny thing
Right.
with me is I don't get to like enjoy it yet because A, I'm still collecting, and B, I'm doing the podcasts. And so
Right.
generally speaking, I'm watching Killer's Delight on Tubi instead of,
Right.
watching. But like I'm gonna give everybody a heads up. 80s horror films with Rebecca Reinhardt, we're gonna be doing Slaughter High, and that's
Okay.
on Blu-ray. So
Right.
from Vestron. So, you know, um it's nice, like I like collecting all these things, but I get it where it's sorry, my dogs are going into fights right now. But yeah, so I enjoy collecting, I enjoy doing all that stuff. But you're right, I'm probably gonna get to a point where it's gonna be like, do I really need every criterion in the world? Maybe not, but right
Right.
now, I'm enjoying the journey of collecting them, and everything. I mean, I don't even have 100 yet. I'm about to, you know.
Okay.
This it by the end of the year, I'll have 100 or more criterions. So
If I can give you one word of advice as a collector, if it reaches the point like I did, where basically I like to think of my collection at like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. where it's like you hunt and hunt and hunt and try and find this thing, and by the end you get it, and then you put it in a crate, and it ends up in a warehouse with a bunch of other stuff that you'll
Right.
never see. That's my collection. I mean, realistically, my collection's so big now that if I was in a car accident tomorrow and I couldn't leave my bed and all I had was movies to watch, I would still be dead before I got through the majority of my collection. So,
I have all my DVDs, and
mm,
they're all at the studio right now.
right.
Like, some of them are in bags in my closet, waiting to go to the studio. But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to the studio in a while. Paul keeps getting mad at me, like, why aren't you at the studio? I'm like, nobody else wants to come,
Uh-huh.
But it's just going to be you and me doing stuff. Like, let's, when we can get more people. So I'm hoping by next season we'll have more people that want to actually come to the studio and record stuff. But right now it's been very difficult to get people to either job stuff, or really nobody wants to go and do stuff,
Yeah,
which
that.
I think it's
Mm,
post COVID, like people just still have this, like, and it's something I hate now, but it's like people just would rather not, whatever, go and do things than actually do things, because
right.
it's just easier, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
but anyway, I'm sure you sort of feel the same way sometimes. Like you'd rather
Oh,
stay
absolutely.
at home
Yeah.
than go out.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, as far as this movie, let's go back to this movie though, because we did go
Yes,
off a tangent
we
on
always do.
we
Mm.
always do. So, but as far as, like, once again, as far as this movie goes, it was good. I mean, it was enjoyable. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen. I thought it would be scarier than it was for some
Mhm.
reason. I always kind of like think of like the 70s as, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of freaks me out at times. The
Oh,
original.
absolutely. Well, but you have to keep in mind, I mean, if you're holding, I mean, I love the 70s in general. I love a good amount of the movies of that era. But if you're holding it to the standards of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're always going to be disappointed. So.
Yeah, that movie, and like Exorcist, or
Mhm.
or I would say Jaws, but not really. I never, well, when I was a kid, yes, Jaws, because when
I'm embarrassed to say I just saw Jaws for the first time about 2 months ago. I,
what?
I never bothered. And the reason I never bothered was because I wasn't an outdoor kid. I don't live anywhere near the ocean. So when the hell was a shark ever going to come? So it's like, oh, that's not going to be scary to me. So I just never bothered watching it. But I did finally watch it. And it was good. I liked it.
As an adult, when you've seen all these movies or whatever, Jaws won't be scary anymore,
Right.
or whatnot.
Hey, there is one scene that got me still.
Which
The
one?
scene where he's going down to the wrecked ship and the corpse kind of pops out of
At the
the
head?
hole in the side. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it got me. I'll be honest with you. I was
Yeah,
very
that was probably the best jump scare moment, because there's
right.
not really jump scare moments in that.
No,
Well, no, there's another one. There's one where Bruce, that's the shark's name,
right.
jumps up on the ship for the first time when
Yeah.
he's for the first
Yeah,
time.
but the problem with that for me at least was I had seen that clip a million times in a million documentaries, so I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure when that came in the 70s, that scared the hell out of everybody. But
I
once
know.
you've seen it a million times, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's where that scene was. Okay.
I mean, I remember seeing it on cable, when
Mhm.
it, like on TNT or TBS, one of those places, and just absolutely being freaked out by it, because
Right.
I do live by the beach. We do go to the beach. We go to Florida. We used to go to Florida all the time.
Mhm.
I would spend times with my grandma, and I would go to the beach. So, um, like, I don't know. It's still, I mean, I don't like sharks,
Right.
like, I don't want to be anywhere near an actual shark. But I'm sure I am if I ever go in the ocean. Even small little sharks like swim by me.
Right.
I wouldn't
Mhm.
know, but it's,
Until it's too late.
well, it still is too late. Yeah, it still bites me.
Mhm.
Swims up and bites me in the ass. Uh,
Yeah. So
but
in general, we're giving a thumbs up to Killer's Delight. Is that the
I
way
did,
we're
yeah, I
looking?
think so. I think I'd give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed
I
it.
enjoy, like I said, it is not reinventing the wheel. It's not even a well-made film, but it kept my interest for an hour and a half. That's all I can hope for, you know.
So the first one we did, me and my friend Liz did for this season was The Sand. It's called The Sand.
Is that the one with the kid from was it Hannah Montana?
Yeah. Did you watch
I I had fun with that. It's stupid as hell, but I mean,
Jamie
Disney,
Kennedy
yeah,
shows
they
up?
dug up Jamie Kennedy. I'm sure he had to call off from his Walmart greeter job to do his cameo and whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah, he had fun with it. It was dumb.
It was dumb. And so yeah, me and Liz watched that. And that's a summertime, even though it's spring break, supposedly.
Right.
But it was like a summertime feeling kind of movie.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, summer, this show. And honestly, this had a summertime with the pool and you
Oh
know,
yeah.
all that stuff. Had
So you've got a running theme now.
well, no, that was just the that's for the first two anyway, because those are
Okay.
both at the end of August. So it kind of fits that this sort of ends in, and actually sort of fits because this is going to be the last what is it, Friday in August that this
Okay.
comes out. So the next episode will be in closer to where the fall will be. So maybe I'll pick some more like more fall oriented more stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
My next movies, I don't know. I have one, I mean, that's already coming up, but that's and I've got a couple more. We're recording, by the way, everybody. I mentioned this on the last one. We're recording this in June, so we're giving a little bit beforehand. Beginning of summer, sort of. Technically, summer doesn't start till like June 21st or something.
See, I don't subscribe to that. I mean, it's 95 degrees right now in Ohio, so it's like realistically, summer started a couple of weeks ago. From well, at least a week ago, we'll say, for me.
I say June. Like people say also whenever kids get out of school,
Right.
they don't get out of school June 21st. They get out of school like June 15th, you
Oh,
know.
exactly.
So like whatever the middle Friday is or whatever, that's when they get out of school, and that's when the party's starting, for summer. So
Right.
I subscribe to that. I think it's more like that, but I think they have to do like the almanac thing, where they know where everything is.
Right.
And so they're like, that's the time, but like
Mhm.
it's really it's whenever it feels warmer out, it feels 95.
Right. That's the way I look.
That should be it, I guess. I don't know. I
Mhm.
agree. But this movie had that kind of feeling, but also uh I don't know, like it was California, so you don't know when they didn't
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
love the fact that the way they promoted it was basically almost like a Bundy biopic, and it absolutely has nothing to do with Bundy whatsoever, aside from the fact that he was killing pretty girls. That's it.
yeah. Um, I looked up Bundy after this because I'm sad to say I'm just not familiar with him. I haven't studied him,
Right.
and everything much. But I was like, wait, did his mother, like, was there something with his mother? Nope.
No. No.
No, all that stuff was actually he had an okay relationship with his mom. I looked up, and then
And yeah, he had
was the
family.
guy.
Well, that's the thing. There was no way. I mean, realistically, there was no way of telling. He wasn't your average stereotypical serial killer. I mean, he was very socially apt. He was charming. He was attractive, and yet he just loved to rape and kill. That was his thing.
Yeah, he was attractive, which this guy was not. I hate to say,
Oh
he was
no,
very good looking. Not that I thought he was a bad looking guy or ugly, but wasn't. He just wasn't what I would. He wasn't Bundy,
he
and
reminded me of Herb from WKYP in Cincinnati.
oh yeah, a little bit, yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Yeah, maybe he was he that
Yeah,
guy?
I don't think so, but he definitely had that look.
By the way, the guy, the low rent John Saxon,
Yeah,
um, I looked him up. The dude was in Rockford Files for a good
That
amount.
doesn't surprise me either. He looked very Rockford Files.
He was a lieutenant on the show, or whatever. Um,
Typecast.
yeah, so he's pretty. He seems like he looks like a cop, I guess, right? I'm guessing that if he didn't want to become an actor, he could have got into the police force, and it would
Right.
normal, looking. But my dad, I wanted to tell the story because, like, when I was born, my dad had already like been through three kids,
Okay.
so he didn't come see me get born or whatever. Instead,
Right.
he was in the waiting room watching repeats of Rockford Files.
Oh, that's great.
And so it makes, because that was his favorite show back then, you know. And I'm like, man, I want to see that. I think it's on like Pluto or Plex or one of those, like Freevee and stuff like that. It's not on
Right.
Tubi, but
If not,
um,
yeah, I never looked.
yeah. But I've been wanting to check that show out just because I'd never watched it, but I knew it was a cop show or whatever.
Right.
Like I looked it up as about like a convict who becomes a cop or something. Charming guy, like it's James Garner,
Right.
Maverick himself, but I want to see that at some point. There's so many shows and stuff I missed as
There's
a
too much to watch.
yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I watched like Sledgehammer. That was a cop show.
I love Sledgehammer. Yeah.
Yeah, like trust me, I know what I'm doing. I used to go around school saying that to my friends. Trust me,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. With a gun, like a fake gun in my hand and stuff.
So, do you have any idea what the next movie that you're going to do is, as far as
No,
for this segment?
so the plan is to do girl, guy, girl, guy, girl, all that stuff. So, and sadly, the girl I was supposed to do it with for the next one can't make it. So
Mm.
right now, so I'm gonna have to find somebody else that will do it, and then I'm gonna have to figure out what we're doing. Another one I know, so I'll give people a heads up so you guys can watch it on Tubi because it is on, or at least right now it's on Tubi. Don't know what
Right.
it's like in August or September, I guess it would be September by now. It is going to be Bite Night. You've heard of
Okay.
that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So some vampire movie. I mean, the plan also is I'm glad you picked a serial killer movie because now we got a serial killer. Then we got Killer Sand monster thing.
Right.
Then there's going to be vampires. There'll be werewolves. There'll be whatever else we
We
can.
know who you ought to get to do one is Tina Krause.
Oh yeah, she's actually coming on our show tomorrow.
Nice.
Cafe.
Yeah,
So
I just came off a production with her last month. So yeah,
real nice.
yeah, she and I both are in J.R. Bookwalter's film Side Effects May Vary, which I wrote.
Nice. That's awesome. Oh, well, I mean, I can't wait to work with her again, like work.
All yeah, absolutely amazing.
She's a sweetheart and she's very down to earth, you know.
Extreme.
Yeah, which makes it easy to like work with somebody who just doesn't complain, or anything. Like you
Right.
get sounds terrible, but there's a lot of complaining, that happens. And I'm very good at handling, if somebody's complaining about stuff
Right.
because I will, I'll help them get through whatever they need to get through and stuff and try not to look like a dick, in the process.
Right. Oh, exactly.
Because it's hard because there's pressure to when you're making a movie and all that stuff. But yeah, so she working with her when we did her one scene with her, just really sweet, very cool, like
Oh
lady.
yeah, yeah. She's definitely a doll.
Yeah, so and I can't wait to we have plans to bring her back down later this year and for something else. Can't say what it is. Hopefully hopefully that happens, you know.
Mhm.
She is like I mean, she had stories to tell when she was just driving down here, you
Oh, I
know.
can imagine.
She saw a guy naked in his car.
Yeah. Only Tina. Yeah, that makes sense.
She was like, she comes like I see her in the hotel room, and we're like the first night, and I finally came. We had just shot some stuff, and I came back to see her, and so I was like, hey, blah blah. We were all hanging out, and she was like, yeah, I'm driving down the road, like 64 or whatever it was, and she's like, there's some guy, like, and it was like in I don't know where it was, Maryland or something, or whatever. She's driving down the road and she sees like some guy naked, and she's like, and I was like, oh my god, now I want to wonder why he's naked, and she's like,
Right,
I don't
exactly.
know, but I'm just like, I didn't want to like look, but she couldn't help but kind of go, you know,
Situation. Bad.
see why, if he's completely naked under there. Yeah, it was funny. She's a sweetheart. I love her.
But
Uh,
yeah, as you continue to do these, you're always welcome to reach out. I always have a blast on your show. You know
I
that.
know, and we're gonna have you back for season. Guys, it's season 7 coming up for Indie Film Cafe. And stuff. We're almost all the way done recording season 6. So
Nice.
yeah, so all of that will be done, and then we go into season 7 in September. So
Cool. Okay, yeah, keep me posted, man. Definitely. And
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. I
Oh,
love.
we're gonna pick crappy ones for you to watch. You're not gonna
Let's.
you're not gonna get this like nice, you
Oh
know,
no,
me
no.
being nice, you know.
I'm 50 years old. I'm too damn old to be watching crappy movies. So,
Sorry, but you're gonna have to because that's what Indie Film Cafe is about.
all
We
right, we'll
love
see.
our crappy movies.
I'm still gonna complain. You know that.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. What was the one that you actually liked? You liked the one that we did, the other cop movie, Twisted Justice. You kind of like
Yeah,
that,
that was goofy fun. I'll watch anything with Jim Brown and Karen Black in it. So yeah, why not?
but it was trauma, so you probably sold it. Your
Oh
cop.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure I sold it. So,
You're like, I don't need this anymore.
uh,
But you've seen it, so you can
I
say that.
watch it. Mhm.
I don't know why any of his. Well, I guess a lot of his stuff's going on trauma now,
Mhm.
probably. You
Yeah,
know,
that makes.
I mean, they've been putting a lot of stuff on Tubi, thank God, because
Mhm.
I love trauma, but it's hard to
I'm not
just
gonna
say.
pay for trauma now. I'm not. It's that
You,
simple.
you said you don't like trauma, so
I
I
don't
get.
even like trauma. Exactly. So
What would you pay for?
nothing against Lloyd. Again, I think Lloyd's a sweetheart. I give him 100% props for everything he's accomplished. It's just they don't really make the kind of movies I want to watch. That's all.
Well, you're very picky,
I'm
and
extremely picky. I'm a pain in the ass. Is what it is.
I mean, you're at this age right now where you can be like that.
Yeah, I got to get off my lawn, guy. So I'm fine with that.
But see, yeah, you're kind of like the exact opposite of Paul, though. Like Paul's getting up there in age, and just like, and the whole time he's sort of like the get off my lawn. But he's only get off my lawn on like Hollywood stuff.
Right. Well, I'm not a fan of Hollywood stuff either because I don't like anything.
I mean, we'll have to get you on Film Freaks because those are the ones that like we do the ones we love, and
Right.
we did Prince of the City, which I think you would have had a fun time with.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
But that's a good cop movie.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, realistically, it's just one of those things where I'll be honest with you. Like after we're still in post production hell on Trivial, my new film.
Mhm.
After that, my next movie's not even a horror film. I'm not doing. I'm kind of walking away from horror for a little while.
Don't
I
blame
just
me.
I'm
I'm,
fed up with. I feel like a hypocrite because most of the new horror films I can't stand. So why am I making it?
well, I mean, the same reason a lot of people make horror films, even if they don't enjoy them, which is because they sell. Those
Mm,
that really do well, and I've been told like independently wise, if you're gonna go
right.
yourself, that a comedy is not gonna do well for like people don't
Oh
know.
no, at all.
Yeah, they're people are like, I mean, I'm the same way. When I go on Tubi, and I look up like movies with that I've never like maybe I haven't heard of or whatever, and it'll be like this comedy is out. And if I don't know any of the actors in it,
Watch it.
I don't know if I really want to watch it because
Right.
it might be the funniest movie in the world. I mean, uh there've been surprises,
Right. I
Most
mean, what if Miramax had thought that way about Clerks? There
well,
there
right.
was no that. I mean, they took a chance with it. But do you think that Clerks would have been as successful if a major company hadn't believed in it? No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been lost in the rest of the indie films.
Did you ever see the Clerks TV show? Not the cartoon.
I saw the
Action.
pilot episode, and it's miserable.
Yeah, it's the
It's
pilot. That's the only one they shot. That
oh,
that
okay. I realize.
they shot the pilot for it. And it had like Jim Brewer as Randall,
Yeah,
basically.
it was painfully bad. Yeah.
It was painfully bad. But that's what happens when Hollywood tries to write something
Right.
that Smith, like created, because Kevin Smith may, it would be like the same thing as if they did a Mallrats, but they didn't have Jason Lee come back,
Right.
for a show. It was, whoever's popular in TV right now,
Right.
So anyway, yeah, so you're right. Like Clerks was, but see, back then in the 90s, and I really want to talk about this real quick because you're the person I think I talked about this on I did an Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing like an Arrow show where I do like, and I'm doing a lot of the Arrow Academy movies. And one
Okay.
of them I did was Gas Food Lodging.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Love it. And it's very big now. Like it's a big, like, to look back at the fondness of the 90s, or
Right.
whatever, nostalgia. But you don't realize how this is not going to happen again.
No. Well, but you have to keep in mind the 90s was a different animal anyway, because the advent of basically stop into Best Buy and pick up a 4K or 6K camera. It was non-existent. It was two sections of people that were making independent films at that point. People that were able to afford a budget, or people that were shooting on video. That's it.
Like
And
you and J.R. Bookwalter.
and I mean, it's not like we certainly didn't make millions doing it. So I mean, it was one of those where now, I mean, hell, you can shoot a movie on your iPhone, for God's sake. It happens a lot. So
and plus now people are being very more like it's being so in the 90s they shot they had I call them the Sundance kids, and like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino would come out in 91 with Reservoir Dogs. 92,
right.
Fast Food Lodging, El Mariachi, In the Soup, tons of other movies that were just sort of big indie hits. I just bought one. Why am I blanking on the name? Laws of Gravity. Fantastic films, at
Right.
the time that were coming out. And I absolutely love them. And I want to own all of those movies, because far apart, on Blu-ray, because or 4K. If Clerks comes on 4K, I know it's not like it doesn't need to have a 4K because it's so like, indie and so like
Right.
what, but like I'll buy it. But anyway, the point is that those movies came out and they were, like you said, like people went out and Kevin Smith spent $27,000 on his thing in '93, shot it, whatever. The movie comes out in '94, right? Like he does really well, for himself.
Right.
And then all these people going to Sundance, and things were different back then. And I have
Yeah.
this feeling Robert Redford was more there. And this is what I talked about in the thing is like, I think in Sundance, he was more there watching and making sure that good movies, that good quality films were coming, whatever, that weren't, that didn't have to have big stars. It could be almost anybody, but they were just good movies, right? What is it? To Nowadays, I feel like it's the film festivals are by committee, they are run by people who are more or less interested in uh big names,
Right.
and whatnot. So Joe Blow filmmaker who's making their first film with their family and everything, and it could be the greatest movie in the world, but they're just not interested in it. Like it has
I
no.
agree with that assessment.
And so, and I think nowadays the game has changed. So what you have to do is you have to make a movie that does go to a festival, gets acknowledgement, then, eventually if the movie is a hit, or whatever, interestingly enough, and gets picked up, people will come to you. That's what I was told by, what is it? One of the guys from Blumhouse, Ryan Turek, who also played Rotten from back in the day. But I was talking to him about, hey, how do I get my movie to Blumhouse? How do I get into that thing? Do I send you guys a script? What do I do? I knew that wasn't the answer. I'm just
Right.
And he said, you have to make a good movie, not a good short. He said, a good short film. Go to festivals, get some acknowledgement on your short, and if it's really that good, the bigger people will see it, like Blumhouse. And I was like, that's cool. All right. So I made a short. Wasn't that great? So it doesn't work. It doesn't work for what I want to do. I'm gonna eventually put it out anyway, but it's not what I wanted it to be. And it didn't come
I get
out, it's not something I want to send to festivals and try to get in front of Blumhouse. But the point was, I love that idea. And then he also, so if and I noticed that that's true. A lot of people that worked with like James Wan, they made a short film. James Wan saw it and said, "Oh my God, this is great. Let me, I want to work with this person, and puts him working on, his next movie or something." So
Right.
things are different now. Just
they're very, very different, that's for sure.
and you have to stand out. You can't make something that's the same as what everybody else is making. And that's hard, period, for anybody, because like you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if it's similar to something that's already been done, people don't want to see it.
Well, I can understand that. I'll be honest with you. I probably look at things in 100% the wrong way, because I don't believe in distributors and I don't believe in festivals either. I'm just not a fan of either. But then again, I'm also very comfortable in the area that I am. I mean, it always cracks me up because I've had people ask me, well, what would you do with $1 million budget? It's like, well, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably make 20 movies. It's like I wouldn't know what the hell to do with $1 million for a film. If anything, it'd just be everybody would have overinflated salaries. So I don't know. For me personally, I don't like festivals simply because the fact, in my experience, it's less about your film and more about whose ass you're willing to kiss.
Right.
And as far as distributors go for independent right now, I'm not saying it's always been like this, but at least in my experience right now, they're not going to give you anything for your movie. And if you turn them down, it doesn't matter, because there's 20 other independent filmmakers that are willing to give their movie away for free because they just want the exposure. So it's a lose-lose right now. The problem is there's just too many people making independent films. And the distributors know that.
Back in the 90s, people didn't just go off and do this,
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, you have to keep in mind, I mean, I was very naive when I started directing, because I was very stupidly thinking, well, YouTube's a huge thing right now, so this would be a good opportunity to basically, now that there are so many people that are interested in this, to gather up like a community of filmmakers. It doesn't happen. What ends up happening is everybody wants to be the director. No one wants to be the cinematographer. Nobody wants to be the lighting director. Nobody wants to be run sound. Everybody wants to be director. And I get that. But it's just, again, there are a lot of people, as horrifying as this sounds for me to say, there are a lot of people that really shouldn't be making films. So,
and it goes to, like, Scott Mosier didn't want to be a producer. He went to film festival. He went to film school to be a filmmaker.
right.
And then he discovered Kevin, and they became friends. And then he became his producer because they had an agreement. Whoever got their script done first goes first, right? Just so happens Clerks was very easy for him to write or whatever. And then I'm done. Let's go make this. And Scott was down and did that. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I haven't met my Scott Mosier yet. I love Paul, but Paul doesn't really know how to produce necessarily. He knows how to produce in the level of like co-producing and get things, making sure set design is done and all these other things are done in time. But he doesn't, like, he's not a producer because he's never really done that yet.
Right. But by that same token, he's never going to know whether he's a producer unless he tries it.
Yeah. So I'm letting him do all of that stuff and help me out. But like, I'm mainly doing a lot of the producing because I've done it like a billion times. And it's just easy for me to just make sure things get done or whatever.
It would be a lot more beneficial to you if you just took an hour and typed up everything that you felt you would need his assistance for as a producer and hand it to him and say, get it done. I'm serious.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah. I've produced several feature films now, and that's how I learned. I mean, literally, my what was it? Before the first film I produced was The Sandman for JR. Before that, the only crew job I had at all was I was a production assistant on The Dead Next Door. I was always an actor up to that point.
Right.
So, I mean, you just basically have to, I mean, sink or swim, jump in,
Yeah. And I actually like that. I like getting other people to, like, help me and especially with writers. Like, I love working with new writers, because A, they're fresh, they have fresh voices, and B, I'm able to sort of I'm able to be the structure for that stuff, but they're able to give me something like thoughts that I wouldn't think of, or whatever. So I love that.
That's my somebody came in.
All right. Well, anyway, I really to go back to this movie, to finish up with this movie. Yes, we gave it 2 thumbs up. We really enjoyed it. We think that if it's still on Tubi in August, go watch it. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have talked about, kind of said it was a down ending, but I don't think we said exactly what happened. So
Right. Well, realistically, I mean, my line of thinking with this movie, because it's not going to be for everyone. Watch it on Tubi. If you dig it, buy it. If not, you're out an hour and a half.
Yeah, or you can stop it halfway through if you don't like it.
Right.
I wouldn't have. I would have wanted to know what's going on because I was
during the entire 90 minutes. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the whole 90 minutes. So, or an hour and 25 minutes is what I got. So
okay, yeah,
I enjoyed it. I thought there was there's a lot of fun stuff, and the dog didn't die. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. I know you were all about that. So.
I know. If the dog had died, but then I think that guy was not that kind of killer.
No.
He really wanted to show that he's going after women. Like,
right. Oh, exactly.
Guys ever died, he was going after these, and it was all women that reminded him of his mom,
which again, like that was such a 70s. It's like every cheesy 70s film of that era about a serial killer, they had to throw the psycho nod in there. So
wow, I didn't even think about that, but yeah. That's yeah, and then so him and his mom, and then then he just spoiler alert. I don't care if you've been listening to this for so long, whatever.
Right.
It's okay. But the guy, the cop kills him at the end, and it's only because he hears at the end that was it the basically in his head he hears that this person's going to be let out.
Right. They're going to be seen as insane, and they're going to be in a mental hospital for a little bit and then let out.
And let out, which does happen.
Oh yeah,
stay. And so I agree that they'll be fit to Hinckley's out, and stuff. And I mean, he hasn't done anything bad since he got let out, but he lives in my town, so it's like
right. Absolutely.
I don't know if I've run into him in the grocery store or not because I don't even know what he looks like, but he's out there. So as long as I make some kind of Jodie Foster reference, I think. But yeah,
but this was fun. This was a good time, and like I said, keep me posted on the show you want to do next time because I'm always down.
And everybody else, check us out next week for a brand new episode. Thank you, James, and
thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
Take care.